So I'm reading Higurashi again. Let me do a couple of things before we officially start. I'll try to like extend it a little. Let me try. I'm gonna do a couple of things before we like continue. I was just ranting about like some stupid shit that some political shit before I started the stream because I didn't want to get into an angry rant on stream when the topic has technically nothing to do with it, but it just pisses me off. Reading Higurashi Resident Evil? Oh, someone's already here. Oh, okay, whatever. Anyway, let's see. Let me think. I'm gonna start reading. No, wait! What? Wait, huh? Wait, what? Huh? No! No! Take me back! Take me back! That was my fault! Alright. Okay, but anyway, what I wanted to say was, I just didn't want to start angrily ranting about, is this microphone working? Is this microphone working? Hold on, I gotta check. Okay. Anyway, late at night. Let's start. Late at night, my mother visited me. She was clutching an envelope in her hand. Keiichi, just now we received a letter for you, Keiichi. A letter? Hold on, let me turn this volume down, in case. To me? I snatched it up at once. It read, to Kei-chan from Mion. What was this about, and during such a dark time? According to my mother, the doorbell rang. By the time she reached our front door, it was shoved through the gap. She could have just come in if she went out of her way to visit, so the fact that she avoided doing so and only left a letter had me feeling Let's try that again. So the fact that she avoided doing so and left only a letter had me feeling a tinge anxious. Though considering the abnormal state of the village lately, it made sense that Mio would be careful about trying to make contact. All the talk of this being an indigenous virus or being Oyashiro's wrath would be ultimately and with those people suspecting the outsiders who moved into town recently. The whole Maibata family is made painfully aware of that lately. Even before opening this letter, I could understand that things had reached the point where Mion, as Sonozaki, couldn't visit us in broad daylight anymore. And yet, the contents of... Oh, there's a stupid car going by at 50 miles per second. Oh, I shouldn't have called out the person that was watching. My bad. This is my bad. I didn't mean to do that. And yet, the contents of this letter quickly informed me that it was still a naive point of view. To Kei-chan, be careful! The idea that we should make an example out of the Maibaras and Ryugus is gaining more strength in our cancel area. I know it's a really crazy idea, but they've already been driven to the point where they'll be consumed by fear if they don't sacrifice someone. I was only able to argue otherwise the first few times, but starting several days ago, if anyone tried to object, they argued that person was covering for the infected because they were infected too. Now no one's putting a stop to this talk of lynching all. Wait. Now no one's putting a stop to lynching you all. It was fine back when they were all evenly split between the virus supporters and the Oyashiro curse supporters, since they both just argued incoherently with the other. But lately the curse supporters are gaining ground, and it won't be long before they're leading the whole group. If my granny were well, she'd never allow such a riot, but she actually came down with a fever a few days ago, and she now can't get out of bed. Some of my relatives have started spreading rumors that it's an infection, so I'm losing my ability to speak at the council too. Like, if I'm not careful, they could sacrifice me as well. But the position I'm in now, it's gonna be hard for me to speak on behalf for you and Rena's family anymore. Let's turn this up. I could see that Mion's writing had grown more hastened and sloppy as it went on. I didn't even have to ask to understand how she must have felt. I think it's dangerous to stay in Hinamizawa any longer than this. At the very least, if we stay shut up in our homes like this, then sooner or later, we're gonna be murdered. So I'm planning to escape the village tomorrow night. The SDF is blocking off the perimeter, but the Sonozakis have secret tunnels, and one of them exits beyond... Wait. The SDF is blocking off the perimeter, but the Sonozakis have secret tunnels, and one of them exits out beyond the quarantine. Me and Granny are the only ones who know about these tunnels. I wanted to wait until after she recovered, but that doesn't look possible anymore. My granny just told me to leave her behind and run. My granny is saying that this is the return of the ancient legend of the demons coming out of Oniafuchi Swamp. Right now, all the villagers are possessed by demons, and they're gonna start murdering each other. In those legends, Oyashiro managed to calm everyone down, but before they were able to do so, the blood-soaked conflict they produced resulted in a massive number of casualties. They're going to kill us all! That brings me to the main point. Tell your family tonight about all this and have them get ready, Kei-chan. I'll come for you all tomorrow night, and then we'll escape. Bring your cash, insurance card, bank book, and family seal. Also, fill your backpack with clothes and daily necessities, but don't let it get too heavy. Don't bring anything you have to carry. Make absolutely certain that you can use both hands. For shoes, wear a comfortable pair you can walk easily in. I'm saying this same letter to Rena as well. This might seem like it's coming out of left field, so I doubt it feels real to you just yet. But trust me, I've been to the town council meetings and the gathering of the three families, so I have to make very clear of just how crazy this village has become. You need to understand how dangerous this is. Even if you have faith in and do everything I've asked, I'm estimating only a 10% possibility at best of you, me, Rena, and our families all escaping Hinamizawa safely. That was the end of Mion's letter. What the hell? This whole situation was too much for me to take in, so I gripped my head, and yet Mio had entrusted this letter to me and asked me to trust her, knowing I'd feel that way. Once I took 3 deep breaths, I was able to realize that the danger Mio spoke of wasn't too far-fetched, considering the festering attitude that had filled Hinamizawa lately. What she'd written here was unmistakably true. At the same time, that made me fear for Sadako. It made sense the letter didn't mention Rika, who the SDF had in custody, but there wasn't a single word written here about Sadako, who had been left in the village all alone. The only names on it were mine and Rena's. There's no way Mio would have forgotten about the club members, so there's no way she'd forget to mention Sadako. So then why? Terrible imaginations assailed my mind, each of them trying to suffocate me. That's right, Mio already mentioned her. She told us where those who seriously believe Oyashiro's anger would subside if Sadako were offered up as a sacrifice. No way. It's Sadako! I shot from my seat. The metal bat leaning against the bookshelf fell down, stopping against my feet. It was almost like it was telling me to take it with me. That was when I heard a gunshot. If this has been a normal peaceful day, I would have assumed it was some kid having fun by sending off firecrackers or ball rockets, but because we were in such an abnormal situation, I didn't even make those wrong assumptions and encourage as they were times of peace. Uh-oh. I opened my curtain and strained to peer into the darkness when I heard another gunshot. It sounded like it was even closer this time. I thought I could hear someone shouting something nearby. Suddenly, our doorbell began ringing frantically. Bing bong, bing bong, bing bong, bing bong, bing bong, bing bong. My mind became clear and all unnecessary noise vanished from my thoughts. It felt like I didn't even need to breathe, and in that vacuum state, I picked up the metal bat on my feet and raced for the front door. At the entrance, I found my mom cowering and my dad running in from the kitchen with a carving knife. Up until a moment ago, I would have thought strange for my dad to respond so violently, but in this exact moment, that actually felt like the proper response. My mom looked back at my dad, wondering if this was safe to open the door. He had her step away from it. The button for our doorbell was pressed at our gate, so whoever had pressed it had now come through our gate and was standing right in front of the house. Then there was a bang, 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 violently knocking on our door. "Who is it?" my father shouted. They answered immediately. "Good evening, it's Ryugu! Please let me in!" "It's Rena!" I leapt out from behind my father from the sound of Rena's voice. This was an emergency, and we needed to open the door right away, even if we were plunged to a nightmare situation where the villagers had started a bloodbath. Even if we were plunged to a nightmare situation where the villagers had started a bloodbath, we club members would never doubt each other. What? Mion, are you alright? She's not alright! We need to hurry and stop the bleeding! Rena was carrying a blood-soaked Mion whose breathing was fading fast. Asking if she was alright was just a waste of time, not even a social courtesy. After that cry from Rena, we carried Mion and past our door and laid her down on the floor. Mion's left shoulder was badly injured. Her clothes were stained red with blood. Her clothes were supposed to be yellow. The shirt Mion loved to wear in her free time. That bright yellow shirt she always wore once school was over. That symbol of all our fun times together. That shirt I was always happy to see was now completely stained a purest red. Hey! She needs help! Grab a towel or something! Mion was holding her wound with a handkerchief, but the blood continued to spill from it. Her handkerchief would drip blood if it were wrung out. It was impossible to tell what color or design it used to be and whether it was Mion's favorite. What on earth happened? Rena, what's going on here? My father asked without putting away his knife. Rena frowned, having difficulty deciding where to begin. Her expression made it clear that we didn't even have time for her to explain. Did we even need an explanation? The bright red staining her body from when she carried me was better than any words at conveying the urgency of this situation. Also, we could explain much faster than any explanation Rena might produce, because moments later we heard a tremendous bang outside our front door. Did she have a gunshot wound? We realized the situation had a moment to spare. She was shot! Someone had shot at her outside our house! Rena spun around at the sound of that shot, all while raising that huge hatchet she carried in one hand, even while carrying Mion. I gripped my bat and chased after Rena, my feet still bare. I didn't even hear my father calling for me behind us. Rena! Rena leapt on someone standing at our front gate, ruthlessly splitting his head open with her hatchet. The moment was unbelievable and all too short. Rena easily brandished her huge head at another man and threw him at the tremendous force. A silver glint of moonlight flashed off the blade as it soared into the man's face. The man let out a short cry, as a small dark spray spewed from his head. My understanding of typical social morals made my brain want to shout, "What are you doing, Rena?" But I also wanted to know who was such a threat that they warranted this reaction. Once Rena reached the man stumbling about with her hatchet in his face, she roughly yanked it out and slammed the long hatchet into his head over and over. The man begged repeatedly for her to stop, but Rena didn't listen to him at all. When she confirmed he wasn't moving anymore, she spoke. Killing someone means that you're ready to be killed in return, so don't take it lightly! It was almost like those words were meant for me. From Rena's perspective, I probably looked like I was still too accustomed to peace to understanding the emergency we faced. But that was when Rena turned around and shouted, "That man's still alive!" Huh? Oh! The man Rena first defeated, that man that fired a gun at our front door, was clutching at his forehead trying to stand. He was already injured so badly we could probably let him go, but that thought was probably just me clinging to peace. Rena didn't have that thought at all. That man was holding his head with one hand, but his other was still holding onto his hunting rifle. The threat this man posed wasn't dealt with. He would still pull the trigger on his gun. The thick lump of metal swung into his head. This time the man's head cracked open. Rena turned back and glared at me. I was closest to that man, not Rena. Rena had shouted so I could take him down, yet I stood there spacing out so Rena attacked him. He had a gun. If he had been quicker, Rena couldn't have done anything from her position. That's why she entrusted him to me, but I just stood there blankly, still unable to grasp the situation. Her stern expression made me realize that, so I immediately apologized. Sorry! It's fine! Just hurry! Rena yanked her hatchet out of that man's head and picked up his gun with her other hand. Even if you don't shoot, a gun can still be used to frighten opponents. Right. That's fine. Just hurry up and get ready to run! Huh? Didn't Mio say she'd come tomorrow for the letter she wrote? There goes my false sense of security. Oh yeah, but tell me what on earth happened? I asked Rena as we ran back to my front door. You got a letter from her too, right, Keiichi? Wait, oops. You got a letter from her too, right, Keiichi? Mi-chan brought the same letter over to my house. That was when the neighborhood watch discovered her and shot her. Mi-chan hadn't done anything to them. All she did was deliver a letter to me, and they shot her. They said the Ryugus were infected, and that anyone interacting with them was an ally of the infected, but they decided that all on their own, and they shot her for it. Mi-chan hadn't done anything to them, but they didn't care, and they shot her anyway. Rena's eyes were full of anger and sadness as tears spilled down her cheeks. There wasn't anything I could say to her while she was possessed by those powerful emotions. Okay, I should go back and read it properly then. Okay. You got a letter from her too, right, Keiichi? Mi-chan brought the same letter over to my house. That was when the neighborhood watch discovered her and shot her. Mi-chan hadn't done anything to them. All she did was deliver a letter. Okay, let's try again. That was when the neighborhood watch discovered her and shot her. Mi-chan hadn't done anything to them. All she did was deliver a letter to me and they shot her. They said that Ryugus were infected and anyone interacting with them was an ally of the... It's so hard. Damn it. They said the Ryugus were infected and anyone interacting with them was... Let's try that again. They said the Ryugus were infected and anyone interacting with them was an ally of the infected, and they decided that all on their own, and they shot her for it. Mi-chan hadn't done anything to them, but they didn't care, and they shot her anyway! Okay, there. That's better. That sounds much more emotional. I can't fake cry, but I can imagine her voice probably would sound kind of like that. I'm kind of mad I messed up, but I had a lot of caffeine, so. When we returned to my front door, Mion had been given a towel for the blood. My mother was with her, helping her put pressure on the wound. My mother was all shook up. The only medicines we kept in our house were Band-Aids, headache medicine, and cold medicine at best. We didn't have anything to help treat a gunshot wound. Rena came back into our house with more blood splattered on her clothes, staining her hatchet. Given the commotion that just happened, my father understood everything once he saw the hunting rifle in Rena's hand. Once Rena understood that he did too, she spoke. Sir, if we don't flee this place right now, we'll die. My own father was already murdered, just now. He tried to save Mi-chan, so they didn't even hesitate. They shot him as easily as if they were driving off crows. I can't believe it. I can't believe it! Mion's mouth opened feebly after hearing Rena's screams. I'm sorry, Rena. I hadn't screwed up. I'm really sorry. It's not your fault, Mi-chan. And I don't hate anyone anymore. Those who deserve my hatred have all paid the proper price. So did the man who shot you, Mi-chan. Just moments ago, Rena watched her father get murdered and Mion get shot. As she dragged herself out of that hell where even her own life was in danger. The expression on her face was one I had never glimpsed in our daily life. It made me realize just how hellish it had all been for her. Anyway, you need to get ready and run right now. The others are already closing in. Why? What are the villagers coming here for? What are they trying to do? There's no need to ask. But the answers from Mion's bloody mouth. That's why my father swallowed his confusion. And after clearing his throat, simply asked one thing. Run! To where? There's a hidden tunnel in Mi-chan's secret basement that none of the villagers know about. So as long as we make it there, we should be able to pull through. Rena explained what was written in the letter on Mion's behalf. Mion still tried to explain but ended up coughing instead. Dad, Mom, we don't have a moment to waste. Let's run! Right, let's go! My father registered the pressing danger. It only took several seconds to abandon his morals as an average member of normal society before nodding, but my mother couldn't make a quick decision. But, if we run, what will happen to our home? We don't know what's going to happen! If the villagers come here, they may as well burn our house down. What was that noise? If the villagers come here, they may very well burn our house down. But if my mother understood that, then her hesitation didn't make any sense. If they're willing to burn down our home, then what good would holding up inside do? Who knows what they would do to us then? My mother wasn't an idiot. Well, maybe that's exactly why she was so confused at this moment. My father, who had been on edge since the first day of the quarantine, was the one acting reasonable. Still, my mother managed to regain some sense. So she went back in and grabbed her only handbag with our bank book. My father took the hunting rifle from Rena. He boasted that he knew how to handle one after using a similar type of air gun, but it was up to the listener to determine how reassuring that sounded. Mion told us to leave her behind since she'd only slow us down, but Rena slapped her hard after hearing that suggestion. No! Without you, we don't know where the secret basement is! Don't abandon your responsibility so lightly! Now take us there! With you around, I can't die an easy death at all. It looked like Mion had recovered enough energy to talk back at least. But we couldn't leave her wound untreated forever. If we don't get a proper doctor to look at her, then all that blood loss will lead to disaster. Hey, Mi-chan! We don't have time to debate this, so give me an answer! I glared at Mion with a dry expression and asked her just one thing. Why were you suggesting that we should escape without Sadako? Yeah, I wondered that myself. What's going on with Sadako, Mion? She's in a worse position than me and Rena, right? We can't just leave Sadako behind! Sadako's... Mion trailed off, but Rena wasn't allowing her to get away with that. If she's dead, then just tell us! If you don't, then we're gonna believe she's still alive! Without thinking, I narrowed my eyes tight. That image of the worst possible outcome crossed my mind more than once or twice. There's no way Mion would ever forget about Sadako, yet her name was absent from the letter she wrote us. That left only one possible reason, even if I was able to imagine why, but I couldn't put it into words. Sadako's been taken away by those riders from before. They said they were dragging her to Onigofuchi. Apparently, they're going to spend 3 days submerging her, according to the rituals passed down from the village. So she's still alive! She's still alive then, at least for now?! Rena and I both latched onto Mion at once. However, neither of us had any thought of blaming Mion for nearly abandoning Sadako. Mion used the information she was able to gather as Sonozaki to gather a logical decision, and after bitter deliberation, she described she wouldn't be able to save her. I couldn't do anything! I couldn't do anything about it! The council officials took the lead, and after they added the shrine group, the youth group, the neighborhood watch, and other volunteers from the village, their numbers swelled past 100 people. The watch is close with the hunting club too, so they're armed with at least 20 shotguns and rifles. Everyone keeps spouting Oyashiro. Oyashiro, like they've all been possessed. There's no mercy left in them. If I tried to protect Sadako, the villagers would have shot me to death without hesitation. Like they did to you and to my father? Mion nodded bitterly as tears spilled from her eyes. She wept at her own lack of willpower to stop them, and for the loss of the lives of the villagers who still try to uphold justice. This is my second time reading this, by the way. So it's kind of hard for me to read what emotions they have, so if I can't read it right, yeah, don't blame me, okay? I'm trying to guess how they are feeling. I don't understand why! Everyone was normal just 3 days ago. They were reasonable then. They got mad in just the past 72 hours. Their eyes were bloodshot and they lost all reason. They didn't go crazy just because the SEF left. They were crazy before then. The killer virus isn't what's scary now. It's everyone in the village. I have a few thoughts. This virus isn't the one that drives people to death, but the one that drives people to madness, making the villagers become demons one after another. Just try retracing the legend of Oyashiro once more. Oyashiro is the only one who can resolve this situation, and her reincarnation Rika is nowhere to be found. Besides, Oyashiro was a god anyway, right? They weren't human, were they? There's nothing we humans can do! Nothing! Calm down, Mion. I crouched down, even knowing it would aggravate her wound. I held her head tight and let her hear my heartbeat. Thank you. While Rena and I were taking it easy without realizing what was going on, you were working hard behind the scenes to try to stop the rumors. I'm sure that's why the village wasn't swallowed by madness until today. If it wasn't for your hard work, the inevitable tragedy we face today would have consumed us long ago. So thank you, Mion. I can't cry, so like... She probably is crying, and I don't know how to fake cry, sorry. Mion was in the deepest ranks of the Sonozakis, and even though she's just a kid like us, she fought all this time. She fought against the overwhelming madness of the village up until the very end. With her efforts acknowledged, she cried into Keiichi's chest. The tears that she was shedding now were slightly different from the ones she shed before. Rena, I know you might want to blame Mion, but I don't plan on blaming her at all. That's actually good to hear, Rena said casually. She's a strange one, but it feels like the bigger gamble, or the more dangerous the situation, the more composed she gets. Just like a blue flame. At first glance, it looks like it's burning quietly, but it burns far harder than the red ones. That's why I answered in turn. Yeah, that's true. This is good news without a doubt.
Yeah, it's great news. I mean, Sadako's alive.
On top of that, we knew that we'd keep her alive for another 72 hours. That's fantastic to hear. The bat that I'd been gripping began to grow hot in my grasp, almost as if the bat had been immersed in a blazing fire, the heat stinging from the palm of my hands. Yeah, I know, Satoshi. There's nothing to fear when you get serious. One hit from this will smash their heads in. Keiji, don't tell me you're planning on rescuing Sadako. Dad, take Mom and Mion and escape through the secret exit. Rena and I will handle the rest. Keiji!
I'm sorry, ma'am. Please take care of Mi-chan. Also, don't forget to take your eyes off her. Mi-chan doesn't play fair and likes to steal the spotlight. So she might try sneaking off after us, even though she's badly wounded and in a lot of pain.
Treating me like I'm dead, Wade? Judging from Mion's current state, she didn't really have the energy to do that. But she'd never be so heartless as to silently watch us off. Mion absolutely would try to follow us and provide backup, even if both her legs were falling off. But we can't allow Mion to die. We're not going to lose even a single one of our friends. We won't let that happen. And Mion's our leader. Without her, there'd be no one to wrangle us wild horses together. Besides, she's the only one who knows how to escape from this village. Keiichi! Don't give me such a sad look, Mom. At times like these, you gotta set us off with a smile. Dad, I'll meet up with you later at the Sonozaki house. Keiji, you two should come with us. You can't face them alone.
Sir, I appreciate the sentiment, but it's already too late. See?
Rena flung open the door, and we heard the hustling movements of the huge crowd chanting Oyashiro over and over like some creepy sutra. We wasted too much time dawdling. If we were all in top condition and ran at full speed, we would have had the option of running away from here like my father suggested, but since my father wasn't used to thinking like we do in our club activities, he was a move behind, so long as Mio was heavily wounded. We needed someone to buy time for them to take Mio and escape, and a normal person like my father, who hadn't still resolved after we were driven to this corner, wasn't going to be useful in a fight. The only ones who could fight were the club members thoroughly trained by Mion, who were able to release their limiters and grasp the severity of the situation instantly.
Let's go! Keiichi!
Right! Let's go take care of this real quick! The bright farewell Rena and Keiichi left for his parents was almost the same when they headed to school in the morning. But they didn't have their bags. Instead, they carried a hatchet and a metal bat. They weren't wearing their uniforms either. No. What they wore was enough of a uniform. Their blood-soaked clothes were more than fitting than a uniform for that mad crimson night. Oh my god, they're playing Zero! The Sumihoroboshi track! And I heard the other one. The one from the opening. We exited out of the front door and closed the door behind us, silently willing the others to run in that time. Beyond the door, there were lights of several flashlights swaying like the breaths of ravenous beasts. Every one of them was chanting Oyashiro's name as they drew closer. There were probably the same number of people as our class. Wow, just over 20, huh? You think they can win?
I'm betting they do! Well, amateurs would believe that there's 20 of them together.
What foolish bunch they are. If they try to sell things peacefully, they might have held out a little longer.
But they made a grave mistake.
Yeah, they did. They attacked Mion. They kidnapped Sadako. They went after our club. And that sealed their fate. Rena and I practically slid forward as we ran and hid behind the gateposts on the sides. Our quick movements were like a panther after its prey. They certainly weren't movements of a cornered rat. In this situation it was. No. But the composure they showed, it was hard to tell who was being hunted. I wonder why.
Even though we're facing so many people, I'm not afraid at all.
How much is strange. I wonder why too. If there wasn't a world of dreams and daydreams, in some other world we must have already fought against much, much more powerful, frightening, and vast numbers, and yet we still overwhelmed them. So it didn't feel like that we were going to lose to people like this.
Hey Keiichi, when Michan was talking to us earlier, when you said you thought that was good news too, I thought it was good news for a different reason.
What? What other reason? Sounded fun, so tell me. Or wait, have I already figured it out? Right now, Rena was wearing the same expression as me, and smiling with confidence.
It's not so much that you figured it out. It's just it doesn't matter to you at all, really.
Then tell me, what's this good news for you?
Well, our enemies of the Town Council Shrine Group and the Youth Group and the Neighborhood Watch.
Wait.
Well, our enemies of the Town Council Shrine Group, the Youth Group, and the Neighborhood Watch totaling a little over 100, right? On top of that, there's a hunting club with about 20 rifles.
Good grief. Luck is totally on our side, isn't it? Because there's only 100 to face!
There's not enough of them to go around!
I was convinced the whole village was our enemy. I was ready to crush all 2,000 people in Hinamizawa, so I was almost disappointed to hear there were so few.
100 people in 72 hours, and there's only 20 here.
They're underestimating us. They absolutely underestimated us. Taking down 100 foes in 72 hours when Rena and I are both serious?
I think we'll have time to spare?
Nah, there won't be enough.
You think they'll give us trouble?
Idiot. That's not what I meant. I chuckled. Together we laughed. The 20 that picked a fight with me and were drawing closer. Then they finally got in range to attack. Now let's have some fun! Let's have lots and lots of fun over these next 72 hours!
Sadako, wait out for us!
The 3 days long Crimson Tragedy was about to begin. The club members were stationed on a hill overlooking Okinomiya. There was Keiichi, Rena, and Mion, and also Rika and Sadako, who they had rescued. They were all in worn-out clothes covered in dirt, stains, and dust, or otherwise soiled with blood. To see the actual fight scene, go see it in Higurashi OUTBREAK, the anime thing. Those 3 bright red days were violently long, and passed by without a moment to spare on sleep. Sorry. I think the caffeine made me kind of twitchy instead. All of them were there without anyone missing. The ferocious battle certainly did take place, but to the club members, the only result was their victory, which was important. The deadly combat that led to this point were no longer worth remembering. All that mattered was that everyone had safely gathered here. I think the song is that one. I think it's like the remix version of Anohie. I don't know. I might be wrong. But I also heard other tracks in there too, which I really like. What was even more important than that was the sign of Okinomiya in the distance. What was even more important than that was the sight of Okinomiya in the distance. It hadn't ended. From here, it was plain to see that the madness hadn't remained limited to Hinamizawa.
The town of Okinomiya too. I had a faint suspicion about...
Wait, what was my voice for Sadako?
I had a faint suspicion about this. This still isn't over yet, is it?
Has the virus commotion only spread to Okinomiya? Or do you think it spread even further? I can't tell from looking from here. Has the whole world gone to ruin?
I don't know, but we're all here. It's not like everyone in Hinamizawa went crazy either. That's true. There's still people who retain their sanity even now. I'm sure there are some in Okinomiya as well.
We might need to scout it out first. I figured you'd say that. We have to see for ourselves whether the world's really been destroyed or not.
The village is about to run out of food and daily necessities. We threw off our pursuers, but there's no need to stay in the village. I'm worried about Shion.
In that case, it's settled. Let's go into town to Okinomiya.
Rika? I'll stay here. Rika! I'll stay behind in Hinamizawa because I'll stay behind in Hinamizawa because once this commotion has settled, I'll need to tell them this is where they belong.
I couldn't understand all of what Rika was saying, but I could understand she said she remained in the village by herself. No way! That's dangerous, Rika! Those guys are still out searching for you, you know?
I'll be alright. I'm good at hide and seek. Nipa.
Rika smiled like she usually did, showing us that we had no chance of breaking her resolve. Because Sadako was her best friend, she understood there was no convincing Rika when she gave us that look. Rika.
You don't need to worry about me. I'd rather you go check on the world. This is the beginning of the end to this commotion, or is it already over?
Wait. I wonder if she's speaking in her mature voice. You don't need to worry about me. I'd rather you go check on the world. This is the beginning of the end to this commotion. Or is it already over? I want you to figure that out. After telling us that, Rika waved her hand goodbye. We all prayed for Rika's safety, and then slowly set off. Behind us, Rika spoke with a beautiful smile and a clear voice.
Fido! You guys! Higurashi が混ざり合う頃に僕らは歩き出すほら繋がれた
couldn't have it. I didn't want to like incur copyright. Oh, new scenario added. Kamikashimashi chapter has been added. Hooray! Okay. Then we'll do that later. Because I'm not going to read it just yet. Oh, it changed. I think. Or not. No, I'm dumb. We're not going to read that one yet. Not quite yet. We did this one. There's also the animated version too, which I don't mind seeing. So, Higurashi when they cry, Kamikashimashi chapter. The tragedy spreads to Okinomiya with no end in sight. Who's behind all this, and for what purpose? Can it be stopped? The tale of Higurashi outbreak concludes here. The difficulty is inhuman. Please watch over the club members' final battle. Okay, so we're gonna do that tomorrow. Okay, so we did Higurashi outbreak. Oh wait, no, not tomorrow. Today's Friday. My bad. I am not that good at that. Whoopsie. Okay. Then Monday. We'll do that on Monday. We're gonna do that Monday. I'm sorry, I had too much caffeine, and sometimes it affects me a little weirdly, so yeah. I'll probably be here playing games again. And all that other stuff whenever I feel like doing things for fun. I am going to go now. Thanks for showing up. Bye-bye. I cannot think. I have to go. Bye.